All right. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And thank you especially to Tyler for joining us. I'll let Tyler kind of introduce himself. He can probably do a much better job than I could. But yeah, I'll just let him go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you, Gabby. First off, thank y'all for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's definitely a honor to get to speak to some Clemson Tigers. I apologize for the Seminole in the back. I'm trying to cover it up, so don't offend anybody. No comments from the last couple of years, please. But kind of just getting started, I just kind of want to tell y'all who I am about myself first before we kind of get fully rolling in this. I understand most of y'all are pre-PT, I believe, right? Yes. Okay, awesome. So first and foremost, I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I'm here in Middle Georgia. I'm the clinical director at Ortho Georgia. I've been practicing for 2 years now. This December will be 2 years. So freshly out of school, I'm still kind of getting used to everything going on and the coronavirus hitting this year. So it's been a little different year for us. But I kind of wanted to come on and start by kind of sharing my story first and how I got into PT and just my journey to it, because it's not, when Gabby knows, it's not really the typical road you take to being a physical therapist. So mine is a little different. But back in college, I was a college athlete, college baseball player, and like most baseball players, I got hurt a lot. I thought I was going to make it big, thought I was going to go, somewhere and be something to get paid to play a sport. But the good Lord had different intentions for me. I ended up, like I said, getting hurt a bunch of times. Ended up having to have 3 surgeries, labor and rotator cuff surgeries, and I was in and out of the training room, multiple times. I started off college on the business management track because I thought, that might be the easiest track for me at the time to go into business or something like that. I wasn't really looking towards PT. Then my freshman year of college, that all kind of changed when I was rehabbing for my first surgery, and I ended up going through rehab. Didn't really go well. Came back a little too soon and ended up having to have another surgery. And that's kind of when I figured out that I had a really crappy physical therapist and the actual impact a therapist could have on a person. So in all honesty, that really angered me. And I saw this guy and basically making a lot of money, but not putting out a service to any of his clients very well or patients. So that kind of angered me, and it kind of pushed me to the point where I was like, "Look, I can do a better job than this guy." So I started taking more of my science courses in the summers and in between semesters to become a physical therapist. At that point, I was already way behind the curve. So I was a year and a half in, way behind the curve, no science classes. So starting behind there, you all know it's pretty hard to even catch up from there. So I had to kind of double up on sciences, double up on the business major. Ended up still playing some more ball, getting hurt more, ended up in more therapy, figured out what good therapists were, and kind of took it off from there. Then I went to about 4 years into college. I graduated with a business management degree, and then I still didn't have all my sciences. So I took a year, take all my sciences, 5th year, and then finally got into grad school for physical therapy. At that point, I did not realize how much of a commitment physical therapy school was. Um, so the first anatomy test, and this is a terrible story. First anatomy test, it was the night before, and I hadn't studied a bit. So I go into the test, just studying one night, and ended up barely passing the test, and literally thought to myself, like, "Hey, man, you're not gonna make it in PT school. This is the first test. You're already almost failing. This isn't gonna work. You can't half tail this." But that was good because it kind of woke me up and kind of fired my passion for it. And sorry, I got a message there. After that, I kind of recommitted to it, and then, you know, realized the full commitment it took in physical therapy school. So I was able to, dedicate myself to those studies and everything. Currently, right now, I'm about 182. In physical therapy school, I got down to about 156, I believe, just studying wise. Yeah, it was very unhealthy, very malnourished, all that stuff. So I kind of went through some times there, times of turmoil, and finally made it through PT school, and really didn't feel my passion for it until after PT school. Is when I kind of even woke up even more. Um, After PT school, I saw that I didn't come out with the best grades. I wasn't the top of the class. I wasn't, one of the top tens, one of the ones that people thought were going to succeed very well. I was kind of one of the ones that they're like, oh man, he actually graduated PT school. Good for him. My friends, my roommate's husband actually yelled out in the graduation that it was a miracle that I graduated, which I would agree with him on that. That was a pretty funny thing. But after that, it kind of fueled me to be the best I could be after the graduation. So since then, I've gone through a sports residency and am currently in a sports fellowship with Institute of Athletic Restoration. I now am in teaching also. I teach concussion management courses, and I will soon be teaching orthopedic courses, freshly 2 years out. But a few things I just kind of wanted to talk to y'all today about is, the the cookie cutter approach, kind of like Gabby mentioned earlier, the passion for the profession that you need, and honestly the reality of the profession. Because I know, kind of going into physical therapy, I was always around the physical therapists. There was always the fun guys. There was always the cool guys, and you're like, okay, well, that's a fun job, cool job, easy peasy. They're making lots of money and all that. First off, you're not going to make lots of money in this. Going to be completely honest with you. Opportunity is there to make a good living, but if you think you're going to be rich, you probably should exit the Zoom call right now. Just going to be honest with you. But the the whole aspect of physical therapy and the whole realm of physical therapy is currently changing. And this next year, for sure. I was never taught about the insurance parts. I was never taught about the hoops you got to jump through. I was never taught about the political games you had to go through. And they don't really teach that much in PT school either. They kind of leave that off. But to be a successful physical therapist, I feel like you have to have passion, drive more than money, more than you think, you're just going to be the cool guy going off. You just think you're going to be a 9 to 5 type person. PT is not a 9 to 5 type job. I go in, my first patient's at 7:30 every day. I come out at about 6:15 every day. And that's 5 days a week. So I don't want I don't want to scare anybody off or anything, for sure, but I just want to be real with y'all that it's not as glamorous kind of as it looks. It's fun and all that, but it's not like, laid back. I can just do whatever and teach my patients exercises and they'll be good. You definitely have to have a passion for it if you want to succeed. And the passion doesn't come from getting rich. The passion doesn't come from, being a world beater, being, popular in the community, anything like that. The passion comes from seeing each and every patient increase their, livelihood and increase their lives, whether it be a athlete, 14-year-old athlete who's getting back to the field, or an 85-year-old woman who you just taught how to go from her toilet to her bed. And that's like her world right there. So it's a whole realm out there, and finding your passion of what you want to do is definitely the key to being happy with that. Because if you just, want to be a 9 to 5 therapist and you just want to go and succeed and make a lot of money, you're not going to be happy in the profession. Insurance is bearing down on us. Next year, we have a 9% Medicare cut coming into physical therapy. A lot of people don't know about that. We're trying to, vote against that right now. But that is going to impact us greatly in the next couple of years. And I'll talk about this a little bit later. A lot of PTs are going from insurance-based to cash-based physical therapy clinics, which is going to turn the game upside down completely, even more, and turn how we treat upside down. You'll have, these cookie cutter clinics that therapists are forced to see 35, 36 patients a day. And, what care can you give people with that? You can't. And that's where it comes to us, and that's kind of what I wanted to get to with this. I know I'm rumbling a little bit with that, but in my eyes, the future of physical therapy lies on, well, you guys that are about to go in right now. You're going to decide how the profession continues. Once you get into PT school, get through PT school, go out in the field. It's going to be on y'all to push the agenda for the physical therapist. My group that just came out now, we're just now starting that because in the past 10 years, there's been some PT advocacy, but in Florida, the chiropractic agency puts up over $5 million a year for legislatures. And the PT, I think the number 2 years ago was like 63 grand. So as you see, we're already at a huge disadvantage for what our profession is, what we can do. But it's going to be up to you guys to actually put this profession forward, tell people what we do, advocate for us, advocate for yourselves. Being your biggest self advocate is the one thing that I see a lot of PTs shy away from. You come out of school and, a lot of PTs are offered these jobs and it's like, okay, they offer you say $52,000 coming out. I had people in my class who with a doctorate level degree and $150,000 in debt for the school went and accepted a job for $52,000 because they did not want to advocate themselves. But we are doctors. We are doctors of physical therapy. We make a huge difference in the community, advocating for ourselves, advocating for our profession, and advocating for even salaries, time, all that. Our upcoming group like y'all need to go ahead and start researching that, advocating for that, and pushing that forward, pushing that agenda, whether it be on social media, whether it be in the communities, all that. It's going to be educating the community and standing up for yourselves because we are doctors. We are doctors of physical therapy. We should be treated as such. We are autonomous now. We can treat without having a medical doctor prescribe to us. A lot of people don't even know that today. It's the statistics I believe show that like up to 85% of people with pain don't even seek therapist help. That's a huge spectrum right there that we're not even tapping into. And that's going to come from, you guys, my group, all advocating for that, pushing that out there to people because that is a huge population that's not even coming to us. And with that shift coming from insurance, with that shift going to cash base, with that shift where now our industry is getting flooded with more and more and more professionals, we have to tap into that and we have to educate the community to do so. So that's definitely a kind of a point I wanted to bring up with that is just, advocate y'all starting right now where y'all at in y'all's career, starting to advocate for PT. And PT schools will look at that, by the way. Starting to advocate for PT, advocate for your future profession, for your future self. If I could go back and tell my pre-PT school self anything, I'd tell them to study a little more. But I'd also tell them to probably, advocate a little more. Go out and see what therapists do a little more. Go out and push it a little more. Go out and educate the community a little more. Go out and, social media a little more. Definitely try to push the envelope and get involved. Like y'all are in the pre-PT group. That's amazing. You're already involved. You're already pushing the envelope. Go out and get involved. Better than previous classes and previous generations have, because we as therapists traditionally are, I guess, I don't know, I don't want to say shy, but we don't push ourselves. We don't have confidence enough in ourselves to put ourselves out there like that, and that's hurting our profession, as you see with a 9% Medicare cut next year. Because guess what, we're half of us are fighting for it, but the other half are like, it's fine. But 9% is a huge cut. That's, think about 9% of your salary going per year. That's what it's going to be. So that's definitely something that I would suggest you all go ahead and start getting the wheels turning on right now. With that said, I kind of want to talk to you all about what else I do. I also, going to the cash-based thing, also have started my own business. My company knows about it. But it's more of a sports performance business with orthopedics. What I do is it's mainly baseball players right now, baseball and golf. I work with clients from ages from 12 to professional level with sports performance, injury prevention, dry needling. I actually had Gabby's brother up this past weekend, putting some needles in him. Gabby didn't take any needles though, not sure why. We'll get to that later. But yeah, so I've started my own cash-based business like that, and when I tell y'all the outreach and the support has been phenomenal. I don't have enough time in a day now to treat everybody who is coming to me now, who is signing up for these performance classes I'm doing. And that, to me, that's a testament to not only this area that we're in, but the job that us as physical therapists and myself have done advocating in this area and teaching people, hey, we can do this for you. Rather than going to this guy down the street, who's going to get you hurt, come to us so I can keep you from, getting hurt, from, the treatment table. I can actually increase your performance. I can do everything. So as a PT, you are skilled enough to, get into that sports performance. I know some of the guys here, or even some of the females, are really looking to get into the sports performance world. And, that's definitely an option for us to get into with PT too. Also on Saturdays, I work with neurological patients at the hospital. Totally different realm than what I work with during the week. But a lot of people don't know that therapists are very, very vital in the ERs, in the neurological areas of the hospital. We are very vital in vestibular rehab. I'm not sure how many of y'all are familiar with that, but the opportunities are there. And again, most people, some of y'all probably didn't even know that. Like, probably, what is the vestibular rehab? Like, what is this? What is this? It is a whole different spectrum that a lot of people don't know we as therapists do. A lot of people don't even know that we treat concussions. That if a patient comes to us, we can treat their concussion. We can get them back on the field earlier. We can make them more efficient. I had a girl come to me. She had a concussion 9 months ago, and she's had 2 concussions since then. Nothing's worked. Yeah, right. Nothing's worked. Gymnast. She came to me, 3 weeks, boom, concussion's gone. And her mom was a speech pathologist and did not even know that physical therapists treated concussions, right? So again, that goes back to advocating for ourselves and kind of getting to the community of what exactly we do. I do want to go ahead and ask y'all a few questions. Yeah, you know where it's coming. So, I kind of babbled on there, and I got a few other things that I kind of want to say, but I want y'all to kind of take the stage and answer some very simple questions, see where y'all's minds are at, and y'all can interact with that. I want to ask y'all, what trait is most important for a physical therapist to have?
I would say patience.
The patience? Having
I
patience?
mean, like patience, like patience, like not like patience like you treat patients, but like patience like the
Yeah, I
take.
got you. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. I like it. I like it.
I think I would say resilience. And I
Resilient.
think that goes hand in hand with patience, you know? Yeah, just being okay with your plan not working out the way you thought and having to backtrack a little, but still not, you know, still believing in yourself, I guess.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Anybody else?
I would say being creative and like trying to kind of like Gabby was saying, trying to find a different way to do something if one thing you try isn't working, or just different ways to engage different clients.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because you do get a variety of clients, patients. All right. Anyone else?
What do you think the most important thing is?
Well, okay. So those are all great ones. And the answer is there is no perfect answer. Um, the most important trait that I would say a therapist has to have, with what I've seen and through everything, is open mindedness. Have open mindedness. You never want to be a closed minded therapist. You never want to be a know it all therapist. You never want to be someone who isn't willing to learn. Um, so, physical therapy is a profession that keeps on transforming and transforming and transforming because of research, right? So each year, more research comes out, more research comes out. Some of your original ideas may be proven, innate by the time you have the opportunity to use it. But I would definitely say open-mindedness, to learn from people, to learn from older therapists, to learn from younger therapists, to learn from people that aren't even therapists. I've seen some therapists who have been stagnant in their thoughts and weren't willing to learn because, oh, he's the new guy, so he's not going to bring anything value to me. And they're, stuck in their ways, and the patient care does not get better. And I've seen young people who have come in and fresh out of school and think they know everything. And guess what? You never know everything in the profession of physical therapy. You never know all that. So I definitely believe open-mindedness and the willingness to learn. The willingness to learn not only late in your career, early in your career, but throughout your whole career. Learning is what's going to make you great. Learning is what's going to push the profession forward. We never want to be a stagnant profession. And I feel like some therapists have got stagnant. That also gives us a kind of bad name, if you want to put it that way. But all definitely good answers. You definitely want all of that with this. So with that, we'll get a little deeper. And it doesn't matter who wants to answer this or not. What drives you to want to be a PT? Ooh. Oh, Billy's looking up into space. He doesn't know what to do.
I would probably say like just helping people,
Okay.
because I know like getting injured is like a really big hassle in pretty much everybody's life, and it can change you like a lot. So I feel like helping people like overcome the injury can like change them for the better.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I think I would also add what I like about it is a lot of times the physical therapist is the only one that sees the ability that is not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how to articulate that well, but you have to be the cheerleader sometimes, and you might be the only one. And I don't know. I think that's a really amazing position to be in that person's journey, because that's, you might have someone that's like, all of the volunteering that I've done with physical therapists has always been at Shriners with kids that have congenital disabilities. So they're coming in not knowing how to walk. And so they don't, in their minds, they don't think that's ever possible. So I think that's just really cool.
Definitely. Definitely a great one there. I'll add to that too, by you saying sometimes we're the only ones that, really see them. An MD comes into the room and they will spend maybe 3 minutes with a patient, right? And they'll tell them, oh, you got this, this, and this. Boom, you're gone. Next. And we're spending 45 minutes to an hour, or we should be spending 45 minutes to an hour with each patient, right? Sometimes we're the only ones who are with that patient long enough to really figure out what's going on with them, and not just push a pill on them and tell them, okay, go have a great day. So with that comes huge responsibility, right? Because you may be the one factor in that patient actually getting the care that they need and getting the correct care. There's been many, many cases, not just that I've seen, but, throughout always, patients have been misdiagnosed, mistreated, and just gone down the line because, a therapist will trust what the MD says, which I'm not saying anything about MDs, they're amazing, but sometimes they don't have the time. They will trust what that is, and they'll treat that and not even listen to the patient. Well, patient's saying this and this and this. Well, your MRI says this, so I'm not going to treat that. It's about listening to the patient. It's about being the one there for the patient. And we're not just physical therapists. We're also psychiatrists. A lot of times patients will tell you every single problem they have, and you will be their one lifeline. We've had people come in where they hadn't had anybody to talk to, and they're going through a real, real rough time. And, like Billy kind of said, the injury has made it worse. It's a huge traumatic thing in their life. If they're going through other tragedies in their life, guess what? It's all compounding. And you may be the only one standing between them and a rash decision, right? So that's the responsibility part of physical therapy that, a lot of people really don't think about, that, you shouldn't take for granted, because you are impacting these people's lives every single day, whether it be helping a kid walk again who never thought they were going to walk again, helping an athlete get back on the field, or just helping a grandma move from seat to seat, getting a patient that, couldn't move their arm at the beginning and now they're moving their arm again. You're giving people their lives back, but you're also helping them through those times. You can't just see them as, that's just a broken ankle coming in. That's just this coming in. That's just this coming in. They are actual people and they actually need help mentally and physically. So that is one of the biggest parts, is educating them on, hey, we are going to get you back. Hey, we can do this. Hey, this is what you should expect. Now, you shouldn't put unrealistic expectations on the patient. Like if he comes in with, a huge spinal cord injury, you can't be like, hey, we're going to have you running next week, right? Don't do that kind of stuff. But setting the realistic expectations with the patient, just being there for them and just being that outlet for them, because a lot of times their families aren't even that outlet. And I've learned a lot about people that I didn't know I'd learned. People tell me stuff all the time that I'm just really shocked that they share with me. And thankfully I got a mask on now, so they can't really see the shock on my face. So it's definitely a good thing with the mask now. But that's definitely a good point, Gabby. Definitely a good point. I like that at all. Also, who in here has ever thought about a different path than physical therapy? And why?
I'll say we've had a couple of speakers so far that, like, we did have one lady come and talk about alternative non-clinical paths in PT, and the fact that they're kind of limited. And that was kind of the whole point of her, unless you want to own a business, of course. But you're going into PT because you want to work with patients, and, there's not a lot of alternative pathways with that. So you really need to be committed to it. Going off of that, I kind of want to own my own business, especially considering the way that the insurance thing is going. And I feel like cash-based is going to be, I don't know, more prominent in the future, especially like when our group is going to be getting into the field. But that's just my 2 cents.
Gotcha. With that alternative path thing, I'll just do this before anyone else wants to answer. With PT, I would tend to, I'd halfway agree with that. So there are plentiful opportunities within the PT realm to, go into, whether it be outpatient ortho, whether it be peds, whether it be neuro, whether it be vestibular, whether it be anything like that. But it can also lead to, having a performance business. It can lead to having, you have your own gym, all that. You can work in the hospital, you can work in a SNF, you can work in an outpatient clinic. You can, if you're very good if you're very book smart, you're very good at research and all that, we need people in the research field. Not everyone's cut out to be a clinician. The real, book smart, not me, like the book smart people, they are able to, do the research more for us. And if you're not, good with patients, that's also a path that you can take. So there are some paths within physical therapy that you can take, not a lot, but it's definitely something that you have to have a passion for, and you have to know you want to do it. You can't go in thinking, maybe this will be good, maybe it won't be, because, it's something that, it's a lifestyle. It's something you're going to have to live. You're going to have to present well to your patients. You're going to have to, live what you speak. But definitely a good point there. Anyone else on the alternative paths? Everybody always wanted to be a therapist. All right. I like it. We're committed. Beautiful. All right. Before I get into the next couple of sessions, anybody got any questions you want to go ahead and rattle off or anything?
I have one just about your performance business.
Okay.
How like hard was it to start, or like how did you build up a clientele? Yeah, just kind of like, how did you get it started?
Okay, great question. So basically, with that, I have been at it for a little over a year now, and I am just now seeing a profit. So it's been definitely huge commitment for me. So what I basically did was I got a couple extra certifications, got CSCS, all that kind of stuff, just so I could get into the sports performance world, finish my sports residency. Then I went to baseball games, baseball parks, baseball training facilities, and I marketed myself. Basically, introducing myself to dads, introducing myself to coaches, introducing myself to other therapists in the community, telling them who I was, what I did, and kind of what I could offer. And my clientele went from 2 kids to now, just in my performance business, I have regularly every night, probably around 2021. And the therapy part of my performance business, which is like my dry needling and all that, honestly, it's been a blessing. It's been word of mouth. I haven't had to market that at all. I've had patients, and basically have had really, really good success. And I live kind of in a small community, small military town, so word travels kind of fast. So I haven't had to do much marketing with that at all. I've had word of mouth, and it's been phenomenal. And that's kind of something that you always see in the future. When you do someone right and you treat them well, and they get results first couple of visits, they're going to tell their friends, and their friends are going to tell their friends, and so on and so on and so on. So it's kind of been just like a ladder effect, basically. And now I'm at the point that I'm getting to. It's a good problem to have, but I'm getting to the issue with do I cut back my hours at the clinic that I'm currently the director at, or do I, cut back my clients with my performance? Great problem to have, but it's kind of teetering on that now, and it's going to take a turn one way or the other. So we'll see how that goes. But basically, a lot of word of mouth and marketing myself at the beginning for the athletes. But once I got the athletes, I had to, deliver for them. I had to show that I had a good product. It was not just saying. So you really have to commit to it. It's been a lot of sleepless nights. So a lot of nights, I was telling Gabby, I average sometimes 4 hours of sleep at night just between 2 jobs, just in order to kind of be able to treat them the best way I can, teach them the best way I can, and also continue with my other business too. So it's not really kind of glamorous. It's not like a instant night, I'm getting rich kind of story. It's finally climbing and a lot of hours put in. But great question. I like that. Is that something you're interested in?
Possibly, or just like more specialized, like a more specialized clinic or training facility, kind of like that. Yeah.
I like it. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Man. Anybody else?
So what?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So you said you're doing a sports fellowship, like you did the sports residency.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you obviously that's geared towards more like sports. Would you say I lost my question. I guess what are you trying to get at? What is your do you understand what I'm trying to say, I guess?
So it was my kind of like my ultimate goal with getting the
fellowship
and all that?
What are different, I guess basically what are different things that you could do with that?
Okay, yeah. So I'm not sure how familiar y'all are with the residencies and fellowships within physical therapy, because I know going into physical therapy school, I was not at all. So I was not educated on these at all. Basically, the fellowship I am in right now is with Institute of Athletic Restoration. It's a orthopedic and sports fellowship, so it kind of combines both worlds. And for me, it just is taking it to a whole different level, like with technique wise, screening wise, and just overall, knowledge of, the human body, how we move, how we can fix it, all that. It's taken that to a whole new level. And for me personally, is I never want a patient to walk in or an athlete to walk into my facility and I have to look at them when they tell me what's wrong and I have to say, I don't know how to treat you. I never want to be at that disadvantage where I don't have all those tools in my tool belt to be able to help someone that walks in. So for me, it's more, yeah, it looks good on a resume. Yeah, it looks good behind your name, all that kind of stuff. You may get paid a little more. But for me, it's more, I want to know as much as I can know in order to help more patients, because if you come in and your patient kind of tells you something and you're looking at them and you have this confused look on your face, well, guess what? Their confidence just went out the door for you, right? But if you're with that patient and they've seen 3 physical therapists within the past year and they haven't had any results, and within the first 4 minutes you're able to recreate their pain and say, hey, this is what they're going to do, this is what we're going to do, instantly they trust you and you know exactly how to treat them. So for me, it's about taking it to that different level. It's about not being at a disadvantage ever and knowing as much as I can. Like I said, with that, it helps push the profession forward, because I'm in a practice with a lot of orthopedic surgeons. If they see that, okay, well, he went through a fellowship, so he actually knows what he's doing, other than sometimes they look at therapists as, oh, they're just a lowly physical therapist, right? So it kind of pushed the profession forward even more. And I'd suggest anyone, coming out of PT school to, go after a residency or a fellowship, not just for the looks of it or the aspect of it, but the learning part of it and how we're able to treat our patients, and by treating our patients better, forwarding the profession even more. Does that kind of answer that, or did that kind of babble on?
Thank you. No, that was good.
Yeah, good. Billy, do you have one?
Yeah, I have a question. What age athletes do you treat, and what are the level of performance or competition, I guess?
So treat at my performance or in the facility?
In the performance aspect.
Okay. So the youngest one I have right now is 12, and the oldest I have, he's just 23. So the levels go from middle school to professional. I have some Philadelphia Phillies players. I have Division I players. I have 3 players this year that are going to go into the draft pretty daggum high. But with that, it's a great question. I've learned that you can't have a cookie cutter program for everyone, right? Because not everyone walking through the door is going to be a first round pick. You may have the kid who's really good in high school looking to get just a D3 or NAIA scholarship or something like that. I can't have them doing the same thing that my first rounder is going to do, right? So that kind of taught me to pay attention to details a little more with each person, each client with that. And with that, I've gotten really good results. So the spectrum's pretty far on that. I basically take whoever I can at this moment, but they differ pretty good. And it's fun to see the kids grow, and their performance, and not even their performance, but their overall health and overall well-being. Educating them on shutting down for 3 months a year, and loosening the risk of having Tommy John, and just overall kind of well-being, and them growing as a person too. One of my guys, he was 86, 87, last year before he came to me, and arm was hurting all the time. We did a few things that I gained in PT school, learned about, human body wise, and then I implemented the performance wise. He's now 92 to 94 and going to be a second round draft pick this year. And it's that knowledge that we can bring to them, other than just the strength and conditioning world, that sets us apart from just a regular strength coach, is that we know the human body more, and we know what it can take, and we know how to rehab it. We know when to scale back better. Not saying that strength and conditioning coaches don't, because they definitely do, but we have a distinct advantage when it comes to that. And I don't think we as PTs implement that enough or push that enough in that area.
Do a lot of your athletes also do treatment too, like physical therapy treatment, or not?
Well, hopefully they don't have to have it. So I will, if something's bothering them or something, I'll throw in, I'll dry needle them a little bit if that calls for it. I can do some mobilizations or whatever. If they're hurting, then I will treat them. I'd say probably in my, and this is where the PT world kind of comes in full circle. With my group, I've had probably, I've had only 2 injuries in my group since they've all started with me, and I have treated those. Now, little minor cuts and stuff, yeah, I'll treat them for that. And like arm soreness, I'm able to. I don't do therapy on them, but I just implement some of the stuff I learned in physical therapy school in order to get them back quicker and safer, and more efficiently. So that's definitely been good too, because, we see a lot of the dead arm syndrome and all that around here too, from over pitching, overthrowing, and overworking. And that's just something that we as PTs can learn to prevent. Anyone else got anything? All right. I got one more. So I'm assuming all of y'all are applying to PT school within the next like 2 years or so. All right. What happens if you don't get in the first time?
I've actually thought about taking a gap year. I'm like currently applying right now just to one school. But even if I still might take a gap year, even if I do get in, just to kind of take a break from school for a little bit. Because I don't feel like the pressure to rush into grad school and then like a real job after that. So just like getting a year of work experience or service somewhere is something I've kind of thought about anyways.
I like it. Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. If I don't get in, I'm just gonna take it as God's plan and then figure it out from there, and just try and take a little time to figure my life out, I guess, instead of rushing into it.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know if I can speak for everybody, but like if you don't get accepted the first time, I feel like if you really want to be a physical therapist, if that's like your really like end goal, I feel like you're gonna do whatever it takes to be one.
I like that answer a lot, Billy. Yeah, so going along with that, most of the class, I went to University of St. Augustine in St. Augustine, Florida, before they had like 12 campuses or something like that now. I will tell you probably about 80% of my class, it was not their first time applying, and they did have to take gap years. But that shows, kind of like Billy said, if you want to be a PT, you're gonna do whatever it takes. If you need to retake a class, you're gonna retake a class. If you're going to just take that year and reapply, you're gonna take that year and reapply. Because if you're not committed enough, and just being straight up, if you're not committed enough to take that rejection at first and then keep going through that, being a physical therapist is not going to be for you. Just being real with you, just the time and commitment it takes in school and then out of school as a job, I'd suggest you definitely evaluate that, whether it be going into some other field or whatever. But I definitely like those answers: taking a gap year, reapplying, just working, getting more experience in the field. Which experience in the field, even if you're just like a PT tech or something, it will do worlds of difference when you get to PT school. So I would suggest anybody that does not get in the first time, go find a tech job, go find a job with strength conditioning or athletic training company. Keep pursuing that. Don't give up at first, because most people, honestly, no matter what they tell you, don't get in the first time. It's just, it's the way of land. More do now just because of the sheer volume of schools. But if you get rejected, you're not going to be the first. You're not going to be the last. If you really want a PT, keep trucking and keep kind of going through that process and getting, like Scout said, more experience in the field and more time with that, because that'll pay off dividends when you kind of go down there. So, Gabby, you got anything before I keep going? No? Okay. So one thing I definitely wanted to kind of point out, and I may have said this, my rant earlier, that, as, for a good PT, we all have those friends who try to compete with us grade wise and try to, bash you if you got a lesser grade and all that. Good grades and all that, they're definitely important, and definitely keep striving for that. But once you get into PT school, I want to stress that, grades are not going to make you a great PT. You can have a 4.0 degree, 4.0, grade point average in PT school and still be a crappy PT. What makes that is, you have to love the people, kind of like what we went to earlier. You have to love the people. You have to have the passion for it. Don't predicate your future on what your grades are now. Just get them good enough to get in PT school, of course, but now and in PT school, don't define yourself by those. Because like I said, I was not one of the top of my class. I was not near it. I was, surprised. People were surprised that I graduated. But now through my, continuing education, through my drive, through everything, I am the only one in my class who's currently gone through a full residency and now going through a fellowship and on my own business. So it really doesn't matter how well you finish with that and how top your class you are, how smart people think you are. It's about your drive, right? So it's about what you put into it. It's about what you put in after hours. It's about the rapport you make with people. It's about networking. I was able to network really well in PT school, where I was doing my last paper there, and I reached out to a couple of big time famous PTs just through Instagram, right? Just because I wanted them to read my paper and see what they said, and they responded back. And through them responding back, I have created a network with them where I have gone to ASMI and spoken with them. I am on the verge of getting published with them, and I also have got them to sign off on my residency and my fellowships. So it's got me a lot further by just being, receptive and reaching out to people and not just worried about, myself. I'm making all these grades. I'm doing all this right. It's about kind of, I guess, branding yourself more than it is, getting that 4.0 GPA is kind of what I wanted to point out there. Just because, there's a lot of people who will stress through PT school, and which everybody stressed through PT, but will stress grades. If I don't have a 4.0, I'm not going to be great. If I don't do this, I'm not going to be great. Or undergrad, if I don't have a 4.0, I'm not going to be a great PT. I'm not going to do this. Like, honestly, guys, I barely got into PT school. Like, I barely got in with my GPA, just being completely honest. But now afterwards, I'd say I'm doing pretty decent for a second year out. So don't let that define you. Don't let the grades define you right now. Don't let the grades in PT school define you. I want you to define you. You decide who you want to be, and you kind of go after that. And people are gonna laugh. People are gonna say, oh well, Tyler ended up with barely a 3.0 GPA, or this. That's fine. But by me working and me pursuing those opportunities, by me reaching out to the people and networking, I have created this whole network and created this, start of a great career for myself. And that's what I'd suggest to y'all too. Now, if you make great grades and everything, phenomenal. Keep doing that. Don't listen to a word I'm saying here. But if you're kind of like me, we're on the edge with that, don't let that define you. Just kind of let that drive you for that success down the road. And never let anybody tell you no at really anything with that. Because I definitely wish someone had told me that at the beginning, because I was kind of worried about that and stressing about that. And when I graduated with less than top 10 honors and all that good stuff, I was a little worried. But it's turned out well, just from mindset and networking with that. Are y'all starting to network now with like any other like big time PTs or anything like that? Have y'all tried to reach out to anybody? Has anybody tried to?
So I would say, as a club at least, we have a really good relationship with a physical therapy clinic that's actually on campus at Clemson. Okay. So that's really nice. I think that's a good starting point for everyone.
Yes.
And we've also, as a club, we had Anderson DPT school come and speak about their club. So I feel like and of course they're new, so they're trying to reach out and do that, which is wonderful for us and them, of course. So I think that's a good networking opportunity for us locally as well. But
yeah, definitely. And yeah, I'd encourage, even if you're on Instagram and you see a therapist or whatever post something or whatever, and you think it's cool, I definitely encourage you to reach out to them, be like, hey, why are you doing this? I am, I'm Billy. I'm looking at PT school. Why are you doing this, 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 this? Never be scared of that. Never be scared of that rejection, because you never know what that connection can get you. Kind of like I saw, I was, just a normal PT student, and he answered me, and I've kind of run with that. So I definitely suggest never be afraid of that. Never be afraid to, reach out to anybody with that and network. Definitely. Yeah.
Tyler, I did want to kind of ask you to talk a little bit about the app, because I think some people would be kind of interested to hear about that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just,
All right. So with that connection I made, we now use an app. Let me preface it, and it's for baseball players. So it's called On Base U. It's basically a screening tool for baseball players, where we put you through 13 or so movements, and we can basically predict the likelihood of you getting injured, show how efficient you are, and show where you lack all the way through your windup, all the way through your pitching. We also have it for hitters now too. So it works with hitters, takes you all the way through your swing, tells us where you're lacking, what you can, be more efficient in, where you can move better and all that. Because what we're finding is, it's always been in the performance world and all that. How much do you lift? How much do you squat? How much do you do this? Well, this baseball player doesn't lift this. He doesn't do this. What we're finding now is it's movement based. If you can't, move in a certain way, and we're trying to force you there, well, what good is that going to do? If a guy can't internal rotate, if he's getting a bony block, he's not going to be able to get in certain phases of the pitching windup. So putting him in those phases is going to do him no good and do more damage than good. So what it is, it basically shows, coaches and therapists alike, where to push a player and where not to push a player. So that's actually really cool, and it's now spreading over the nation. I think like 20 something MLB teams are using it now, and I'm sure Clemson baseball is probably going to start using it soon and all that stuff, because they're pretty decent, I guess. Not better than those guys. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so it's really cool. It kind of goes along with the FMF, the functional movement screening. I'm not sure how familiar y'all with that, but kind of goes on along with that kind of stuff, which I think movement-based therapy is the future. So we'll kind of see where that goes.
Would you say, I mean, I know that one's baseball specific, but do you think that that's going to evolve for other sports, and then maybe just for general population as well at some point? When you showed me that the other day with Alex, because everybody, Tyler used it on my brother this past weekend. I just kept thinking this could be so cool for just, in the lots of different parts of PT, and, lots of different people could benefit from that.
Yeah, definitely. So there is one coming out fully for golf. So that'll be good, mainly rotational athletes, all that. And I definitely think it can expand in the future. We do have, like I said, the FMS and all that for functional movement screenings, and guys like, Mike Reinold has come up with his own screening for, performance specialty. But there's a lot out there, and you can tailor them to the population that you're with at the time. But it's definitely something that we as a profession are kind of gearing towards, rather than the old kind of basis that we went off of, that I won't fully get into now because I'll rant. But definitely movement-based stuff is where we are going as a profession, because it's showing the best results. But for baseball, it's really good right now, in golf. But great question. That's a great thing for us to look at in the future, for sure. Anyone else want to coattail off of that, or got any other questions?
What were some of the observation hour opportunities that you did to before PT school?
Like how many did I get, or where did I go, or
where did you go?
Okay, so for me personally, I went to an outpatient ortho clinic just to kind of get my hours there. I ended up getting hired as a tech. And I also spent time in the hospital, which is kind of hard to do right now because of coronavirus. So y'all may be at a little disadvantage here. But I also spent time in the hospital in a skilled nursing facility. So definitely like applying to PT school, it's really good to have that, diversity of where you're in outpatient clinic, you're in a skilled nurse facility, you were in a hospital, even if one's like for only 9 hours or a day. Just showing you went there and you were there and had hours, that'll look so much better on an application. But I spent most of my time just in an outpatient ortho clinic. That when I actually got to PT school, this is kind of funny. One of the first lessons we learned, our professor at the end of the lesson said, "Don't be one of these PTs," and basically streamlined exactly the PT I was observing what he did. So I went in, thought I knew like everything about therapy. I was like, man, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be easy. Then literally the first lesson, he shot everything I knew about therapy out the door, and I was, at that point, I was done. So, yeah, I'd suggest finding a good PT with a good reputation, and always reach out. And PTs usually are very receptive to that, even with Corona going on. So I've had, I think since May, I've had 5 students. So, yeah. So the more settings you can get, the better, definitely. Anybody else get anything? Debbie's smiling like she has something.
No, I was just thinking, somebody asked a long time ago, that's why I was laughing at myself, like, wow, you should have said that earlier. But when we were talking about residencies and fellowships, there are other, like I've been researching them a little bit. There's neurology, there's pediatrics at MUSC. There's a lot.
Oh, yes.
It's kind of shocking to me that it's not more, I don't know, advertised, I guess. Like I had to really kind of dig for it.
Yeah, so you do have to really dig for those. And they are just about in every realm, kind of like we talked about with the opportunities. They are in pediatrics, they are in neuro, vestibular, orthopedic, sports, all that. They're not advertised, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, because they are expensive. And coming out of school in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debts, PTs can't afford it really. But that's the pitch of some of the PT clinics around, like, hey, we'll pay you this amount, but we'll also pay for your residency to do this. I know a lot of, like, I don't know what y'all have up there, like a lot of pivots, benchmarks, and all that do that. But no, they're not advertised at all. And in PT school, they're barely advertised. I was very fortunate. I went to a PT school that, they did advertisement, they did press for it just because they wanted that continual learning. But a lot of them don't. I had, we just hired a new PT from, I'm not going to say which school, and he kind of asked me what I was doing. I told him about a residency. He asked me, he's like, PTs have residencies? And I kind of looked at him. I was like, you just graduated PT school? Shit. Okay. But no, it's not advertised. And that's, again, that goes back to advocating for the profession, telling people what we can do, showing people what we can do, and, getting that continuing ed so it becomes the norm in physical therapy. Because you don't see an orthopedic surgeon or any kind of surgeon without a residency beside their name, right? So we're now doctors, so why should we be any different? Why shouldn't we strive for the highest level of education in our field, which is my opinion, which is worth like 2 cents. But I feel like as a profession, for us to go forward, we should all strive to do that. But there are even, specialties and residencies where you can go to where you do just EMG studies all day. You don't even treat patients. And that's a very, very lucrative one. But if anybody's interested in that, that's probably the highest paying. But yeah, there's definitely lots out there. So you can find your niche and go for it then. And people also think that kind of boxes you into one box, like, oh, well, he's got the sports specialty or whatever, but it doesn't. It doesn't put you in that box, because, like I said, half the people don't even know what it means. So that's our fault as a profession. Great question, though. Anybody else? All right, well, that's mostly all I've got for y'all tonight. If anybody has any further questions or anything they'd like to ask or anything, Gabby's able to, she can shoot y'all my email or my phone number anytime. Y'all can text, call, anything like that. I know I kind of rambled tonight. We're in the middle of building a new clinic and we were supposed to have 9 tables delivered yesterday, and we had 0, and no one in America knows where they're at, and we start treating patients full time on Monday. So it's been a hectic week. I apologize that I've been kind of everywhere tonight.
No, you're great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
I definitely appreciate y'all having me. And again, reach out with any questions y'all have, text, email, whatever y'all want. I'd be more than willing to help with anything, especially kind of going through your applying to school journey. And, if y'all want to do residencies or something after that, for sure, let me know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. Yeah, we've kept it to an hour, so that's good. I'll go ahead and stop Billy, how do I stop? So I just press stop and it's going to save it for me?